Breaking news! Something big happened in Miami and got the entire fan base excited. No, this isn't just another off-season headline. It's the kind of change that could reshape the identity of the Miami Dolphins locker room and signal a shift in how the franchise runs its business. We're not talking about a splashy trade or a last-minute roster cut. We're talking about a power play that shook the team's financial structure and could have huge implications for how the front office approaches the 2025 season and beyond. I'll detail everything I know, why this deal happened, what it means for the locker room, and how it could impact the Dolphins' plans not just for this season, but for the next 3 years. But before we go any further, be sure to like this if you're a true Miami Dolphins fan. And if you've been aquamarine and orange for over 20 years, leave a comment below saying, "Go, Dolphins!" My heart bleeds aquamarine and orange. Now let's dive into what really happened, and why it might be a bigger deal than anyone imagines. Zack Sieler's extension isn't just a good football move, it's a masterstroke for the culture of this team. We're talking about a guy who went from being an undrafted free agent with limited college reps to earning $44 million guaranteed. Just 2 years ago, he was under contract for a potential $18 million. This extension flips that completely, not only rewarding him but sending a loud and clear message to everyone in the locker room. If you show up, if you grind, if you're loyal, you will be taken care of. And let's not forget the context. Sieler had 2 years left on his current deal. Before this extension, he was locked in with $17 million guaranteed, a $12 million cap hit this year, and $11 million next year. So why make the move now? Well, it's about leadership and timing. The Dolphins wanted this wrapped up before joint practices with the Bears. This wasn't some last-minute scramble. This was calculated, an intentional signal to the roster right before things get real. But here's where it gets even more interesting. While we don't have the fine print on the cap situation yet, it's almost a lock that this deal provides some immediate cap relief. There's likely a significant signing bonus involved, possibly some voided years on the back end, and likely an out after the 2026 season. Don't be surprised if Sieler's cap hit drops from $12 million to something closer to $4 million this year, something like what happened with Minkah Fitzpatrick's deal. So, what does this mean for the defense? Well, Sieler is surrounded by rising stars and big names. Jalen Phillips, if his knee holds up, is expected to make noise. Bradley Chubb, Kenneth Grant, and even Willie Gay Jr. are all in the mix. But Sieler is the guy who has quietly become the rock of this defensive front. Over the last 2 seasons alone, he's racked up 20 sacks, 9 in 2023 and 11 the year before. And let's not forget the 2 interceptions. Yes, interceptions, from a defensive tackle. This man is doing everything on the field. That's why this extension matters. It's not just about stats, it's about presence. Sieler didn't hold out. He didn't stir drama. He showed up every day of training camp, 10 straight days, and worked. That's the kind of guy you reward, and that's exactly what the Dolphins just did. But it also creates a ripple effect. Remember when Raheem Mostert blasted the front office for not taking care of their own after the Jonnu Smith trade? Moves like this silence that noise. It shows the locker room that if you put the team first, the team will take care of you. Now, this begs the big question. What's the bigger picture here? Is this a sign that the Dolphins are doubling down for a Super Bowl run? Or is it just a smart move amid what some think could be a slow rebuild led by Chris Grier? Many fans are wondering why you'd hand out a big extension if you're planning to reset the roster next year. But here's the thing. Zack Sieler is the type of player you build around. He's not aging out. He's still got tread left on the tires. And while Father Time eventually catches everyone, Sieler's story is far from over. Still, we have to stay realistic. The true implications of this deal might not fully show until we get more details, specifically around the cap and the contract structure. Will the Dolphins use the cap space to bring in another corner? Will they push some of that flexibility to 2026 and beyond? There are moves yet to be made. And here's where things start to get even more layered. When we talk about the ripple effects of this move, we're not just talking about locker room morale or cap space. We're talking about what this says about the Dolphins' identity moving forward. Zack Sieler isn't just a player who racks up sacks and commands double teams. He's a tone setter, a no-nonsense leader who has earned the respect of everyone in that building. And that's precisely why this move could be a foundational shift. Because for the first time in a long time, it looks like the Dolphins are rewarding the right kind of player. Think about the optics if they hadn't extended him. A captain who showed up every single day at training camp, who didn't hold in, didn't play games, who's been grinding from day one, and they let him ride out the year without any commitment? That would have sent a chilling message across the entire roster. Instead, they made the right call. And yeah, it's rare to say that about a front office still being run by Chris Grier. Let's not pretend this erases all the questionable decisions we've seen under Grier. Far from it. There are still glaring holes on this roster, particularly in the secondary, and fans are right to be skeptical of whether this team is truly all in. But giving Sieler that contract before the joint practices with Chicago, that was calculated. That was about momentum, about putting a flag in the ground and saying, this is who we are. This is the standard, and that can be powerful, especially if it influences guys like Christian Wilkins, who might be watching very closely. Now, let's pivot for a second to what this might mean from a financial planning perspective. With the Dolphins possibly saving somewhere between $6 to $8 million in cap space this year due to the likely restructure, they're suddenly in position to make another move. It's not a stretch to think they might be targeting a cornerback, or even looking at potential depth on the offensive line. And while we don't yet have official figures, the idea of tucking in some void years at the back end of the deal, front-loading a signing bonus, and creating a soft-out after 2026, that lines up with what we've seen from Brandon Shore, who's quietly one of the best in the league when it comes to creative contract structuring. So if you're reading between the lines, this isn't just about Sieler. This is the front office signaling that they're not punting on 2025. They're threading the needle, trying to stay competitive now while preserving flexibility for the future. That's not something we've always seen from this regime. But again, credit where it's due, this move is different. And think about the dominoes this could tip. We've seen what can happen when teams reward their captains. The morale boost, the buy-in. Guys like Jalen Phillips and Jalen Ramsey see that, and it reinforces that this is a team that values loyalty and production. For a locker room that has had its ups and downs, that matters. It builds cohesion. It builds identity. And for a team still trying to get over the playoff hump, that kind of unity is invaluable. So now the question shifts. What's next? Who's the next piece they lock in? Could this be a sign that a new era of stability is being ushered in, not by Greer's wild roster swings, but by calculated, player-first decisions? Or is this a one-off move in a larger puzzle that still feels incomplete? And what about the fan base? This isn't a flashy free agent splash or a controversial trade. It's a calculated investment in a player who earned it the hard way. That might not be headline-grabbing to the national media, but to us, Dolphins fans who've watched this team stumble through rebuild after rebuild, it hits different. It feels like a rare moment of clarity from a franchise that often leaves us scratching our heads. So now I leave it to you. Was this move a sign of a new direction for the Miami Dolphins? Or just a lucky exception in the same frustrating pattern? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and check out the videos on your screen for more deep dives into all things Dolphins. Go Dolphins! We might just be building something real here. Of course, the contract comes with high value. The base salary increase takes him from a modest $17 million guaranteed to a staggering $44 million guaranteed. But here's the key. This deal likely helps Miami's salary cap situation. The details haven't been released yet, but I'd be shocked if it didn't include a hefty signing bonus and a few years voided at the back end to free up space now. We're likely looking at salary cap relief for this season, perhaps as much as $8 million reduced, money that could be reallocated to bolster depth at cornerback or elsewhere. Behind this clever maneuver, you can bet Brandon Shore had his fingerprints all over it. While Greer continues to confound us with his inconsistency, Shore's contract structure remains one of the few areas we can truly trust. It's calculated, forward-looking, and, most importantly, rewards the right players. This also means there's a ripple effect in the locker room. When players see a guy like Sieler, who doesn't hold back, who doesn't cause drama, be rewarded like this, it builds unity. It shows there's a path to success within this organization if you do things the right way. That's huge, especially with team chemistry and morale on the line heading into what could be a defining season for Mcdaniel. We also can't ignore the defense as a whole. With Sieler locked in, he'll anchor a defensive line that includes rising stars like Kenneth Grant, Jalen Phillips, assuming his knee holds up, Bradley Chubb, and Willie Gay Jr., who is already emerging as a disruptive force in training camp. This unit is shaping up to be formidable, and Sieler is at the center of it. So, yes, Dolphins Nation, this isn't just about money or salary cap impacts. This is about a culture shift. It's about identifying and rewarding your cornerstones before the season even starts. This is a franchise trying to prove to its fans, and perhaps even to itself, that it still knows how to do the right thing when it counts. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think renewing Zack Sieler was the right decision at the right time? Or is this just a temporary distraction from deeper issues still lingering in the front office?